Nawaf Al-Thani is the president of the Council on International Mediation and former Qatari defense attaché to Washington, D.C., and he's with me in the studio. Nawaf, if we were sitting here a year ago, would you believe that Qatar had been attacked by two countries twice? And how does that inform the way that you think the security dynamic in this part of the world has changed?
Well, Rich, this is absolutely unthinkable a year ago. It was unthinkable even 9 months ago. And the biggest issue and the biggest reason for it being unthinkable is Qatar is the host and mediator. And for the mediator to be bombed while a mediation, especially the Israeli attack, which was totally, antithetical to everything Qatar was trying to achieve, saving not only Palestinian lives, but Israeli lives, to find itself on the receiving end that Qatari lives are being sacrificed, literally, while trying to save Israeli lives as well as by one of the two parties, in this case Israel, was very shocking.
So how has that changed things in your view, the dynamic that you have? Because, I mean, those days were frenetic immediately after that bombing. What was it like living that?
Well, living that, as Irish as well, we all went through that. It was quite jarring for me.
But you would have been privy to the diplomatic channels and the diplomatic channels.
I'm not privy to, obviously, the internal discussions, but understanding how these things work, I can tell you, it did two things, and it did two things very clearly. It solidified a theory of Qatari mediation. How would Qatar react if it was in a position like it was that day and that night? And Qatar reacted calmly, calculatingly, and with a decision to stick with it, to go for peace and not to be emotional like many of our adversaries on that day and night were, very emotional. That was the first thing I think that Qatar, proved that it could do. A second thing Qatar proved that it could do was to be effective. Coming out of that terrible, situation, that, going against everything that we believed in, our sovereignty, our peacefulness and the safety of our people. But coming out of that with a peace deal, maybe an imperfect one, and we've got a long way until we see real peace achieving, but at least having a ceasefire and an end to phase one and moving to the next phase, I think was a big achievement. And again, proving effectiveness of Qatar, even under fire, literally.
I'm going to come and talk about the ceasefire in a second, but it did solidify also a relationship with Washington, did it not, ultimately?
Well, it more than defined it. It kind of clarified the structures of that relationship. For many years, Qatar has been the most reliable partner of the United States in the region. And I think the reaction by the Trump administration showed that Qatar is a reliable partner, a security partner, a reliable mediator in peace, a peace partner, as it has always been a reliable economic partner. So I think that took it to the next phase of, clarifying what was already there and what both parties already knew.
So let's talk a little bit about the ceasefire itself. How confident in 2026 are you that it will hold, and will it produce a roadmap finally towards a Palestinian state, in your view, as well? I mean, that's a big question, I know.
Yes, well, I don't want to surprise you by saying I'm not so confident that it could hold. The Israelis, unfortunately, have been proving day in, day out their willingness to break the ceasefire, mowing the lawn, as they call it, from day to day, whether in Gaza proper, where this deal is concerned, or beyond it, even Lebanon. So it really depends on partners that are willing to hold things together. Qatar is willing, the United States, Egypt, Turkey, and the Palestinians are willing. Is the Netanyahu government willing to move forward, or do they want to stay in this loop of violence? Unfortunately, 2026, if nothing else, will be extremely interesting.
Well, there is an election in Israel coming up as well, which I'm sure you're looking at very closely.
If it happens, yes, I'll be looking very closely, as many, to it. And what are the also decisive conditions leading up to the elections that may derail it or move it forward? It's all a game up in the air at this point, unfortunately, when it comes to internal Israeli politics.
Also, one thing that we've seen this year, of course, was the Israeli attacks on Iran and their nuclear program. That yes. Also, this time last year, of course, we saw what happened with some of the allies that Iran has as well in the region. It seems like Iran's position has been weakened quite dramatically. Do you feel that that's changed things?
Well, threatening Iran is a very dangerous game. An unstable Iran means an unstable region. An unstable region is not good news for anyone, economically, for the global security. What happens in the Middle East has reverberations, as we by now should all know, have effects in the rest of the world, economically and also asymmetric security matters that may have an effect. Qatar and many in the region have been calling for dialogue with Iran. We hope that Iran and the United States find ways to, a peaceful dialogue that will bring the region back into peace. But going back to the spoiler in the region, unfortunately, the Netanyahu government now calling on operations against Iran is extremely dangerous. I think the United States is very aware of that and careful, and hopefully in 2026 we'll see more stabilization and less, as the Americans say, forever wars.
And the future of mediation by you guys?
Well, Qatar has been in the business, if you will, of mediation since its inception, and at least codified in our constitution for over 20 years. So this is part of the DNA of Qatar and its culture, and it will continue.
Nawaf, thank you so much for joining us. Nawaf bin Mubarak Al-Thani here, joining us in the studio. Thank you again. All right, let's get you back now to what's been happening in Sudan, where the Rapid Support Forces say the Sudanese army has carried out an attack